So the reality of this issue now being actually the death of our parents and an inheritance, and that there's so much property involved in it, and so many people outside of that as well, and the fact that she was buried in a traditional burial. All these decisions, all these decisions were made without us actually having a conference as a family and say, what do the four of us decide? And I think everybody knows that that's the least you can do is to say the family have gotten together and have decided that this is what we're gonna do, and this is going to be the date of the burial. And from what I heard from Danny being involved and Kimber being involved, I think they came on the ground where some instances and some powers were in control of the entire thing. So the fact that mom got Ngoni burial is something that I heard long after she was buried. Long after. You know. In my mind, I thought it was going to be a Christian burial, and in my mind, I wanted to come and pray for my mother's soul. You know, and already there, I'm hoping that at least one of you can see it from the point of view that okay, that I am bereaved. If you can take time to not think, oh, Jimmy is special, or Jimmy this, Jimmy that, or Jimmy feels is entitled to this, but if you can just take time out to think of the fact that I am bereaved, I lost my mother. Okay? Can we take that as the main thing first, right? And I wouldn't have anything else as a priority in that case, you know. And for it all to be reduced to a question of like it's a question of fighting for inheritance. My main resentment is that I was not told properly that mom was sick, you know, and it was basically impossible to get through to her because of the people around her, you know, and or that entire process there. Now, nobody told me this, but I could sense that something was not right even when I was in South Africa. So I said to Andrew Mtawali, when you go there, please be my eyes on the ground and tell me what's happening, because I need to be updated on what is going on. Because there was a communication breakdown. I know Kimber says there wasn't one, but I know there was one, because night and day we were waiting for news. Dad had come from Swaziland and we were in Johannesburg, and we were waiting for news. We needed updates, so we were not getting the updates from the immediate family. In fact, from nobody. So I don't know how somebody could say that there was no communication breakdown. Maybe not from your point of view, but we felt it. We went through it, and my cousin Lindy was there as well. There was we had to wonder like what's going on, and my cousin as well, So hey, my friend. So there are many issues. There are many issues. So when I came, I needed to find out, and so the first person I went to was my uncle Makukula, there at the Boma, the one who was doing the printing. And I said to him, Uncle, you're gonna have to tell me the truth. There were some major decisions made which only the family can make. But all these decisions were made without me, and I'm the eldest son. What? Who? And why? And he looked at me like he was reluctant to tell me, but he could see and he could feel that tradition, culture, and normal human decency would require him to tell me what it was because I didn't ask in a stupid way. I asked, I said, look, somebody made decisions and it was not me. So who made the decisions? Hmm? And he says, he looked at me and he says, it was Andrew. You know, not Andrew my nephew, Andrew my uncle, Andrew Mtawale. Oh, they're both Mtawale anyway. Not Alofa. My uncle Andrew, Charles's father. Hmm? They say that he was the one who organized everything on the ground. And it seems, and I also heard, I think, that somebody actually mentioned that those of us who are not Anderson by blood, but are like, what do you call it, Chirwa, that we didn't have any stake in this. But this is not the death of Mr. Anderson, and this is not the death of Mr. Chirwa. This is the death of our mother, my blood mother. So, because of whatever resentment you might have about my father, then there must be an issue with me coming to my mother's funeral and me having a say in my mother's funeral. So the whole thing got hijacked somewhere, and you all were left powerless or whatever. And seeing how grievous that was, we all have our coping mechanisms, and I went through whatever I could do to stay calm and to keep my mind off of this, because I could see that this is the chances of somebody coming to tell me the truth exactly the way it is was zero. You know, zero. Mm. Until this day. So my reaction to that development that I saw happening on Gaisa, in which triggered the whole eruption, was after these 7 years of going around with this type of pain, and not to even mention the whole 40 plus years of trying to make sense of what this marriage was, my mother and my stepfather, and who am I, you know, where do I belong in this family, because I'm a deep thinker. When all that adds up to being that, okay, you don't have a say, I was like, look, I can tolerate this thing coming from mom and from dad or whoever, but you all are not going to pull that one on me now, you know, because from 2015, I actually wrote a proposal to you and a plan in writing, and I sent it to you, and you didn't respond to it in any form. And I also made the proposal of saying, this, the best thing we can do is to change this thing from being under the Ministry of Tourism and let it go into the Ministry of what you call it, of either health or education, because that's where we actually could get the funding for whatever real projects and stuff like that, the type of projects that you guys wanted to start there. I was told that, well, the place is in probation, so I'm gonna have to wait for that process to be through, which I did. I I said, okay. I chilled, and I was cool with that, obviously, until the time that Leia said what she said about Rachel gets angry, you know? And so I thought to myself, okay, you know, after some time, I asked again, and I was thinking that, oh, can I get some update on this probation situation? Not probation, probate. Sorry, forgive me. Can I get like, you know? And then it seemed like, no. I mean, I'm not gonna get information on this thing. Then of course my question is about who are the lawyers handling this, and what's the, you know, then I started to begin ask questions. And you know, then the question is like, why did you pick that lawyer, and who paid for this, and when did you get that document done, and the document that you gave me, when did you decide to have that, and how did you put that document together without coming to me and just expect me to sign it? And of course I sign it, and when you put it in my face and say that you signed a document and blah blah blah, listen, the only reason I sign a document is because I'm under the impression that this document is a practical and pragmatic technicality to make sure that this thing stays in our hands. It is not a license for you to run things the way you want to run without consulting with me. You know? So when it turned into that, I was like, okay, fine. Regardless of that, I would like to separate the two issues. One is managerial and the other one is legal issues. And I'd like to be informed. To which I was told that, oh no, but that's too much work for Kimba. He can't be doing that. If you want to know anything about this, you need to go there yourself. And I say, really? If I want to know what's happening on my property and I'm living in Denmark, I have to find a plane ticket to go there regularly. Do you know a business goes every month? I want to know what's happening. How much VAT are we paying? What are the taxes? What's the condition with the place? All these different things. I need to know those things. You seriously telling me that for me to know those things, then why did I sign a piece of paper to put Kimba in charge if that's the issue? You know, you should have told me that no, you need to find 5,000 krona extra so that you can fly every month to check out how things are in. That's the situation. That's the type of answer you're giving me. That's how I'm supposed to conclude. That everything must be hearsay. And, you know, then the question is like, I don't know these lawyers. I've never met them. Who picked them? Who chose them? Why? You know? And further to that, I looked at the piece of paper and I saw that, hey, there's a discrepancy here. You know, the Mama's date of passing away is not correct. I can't remember what it was in it, but it was not correct. It was not the right date, unless I was told the wrong date by somebody else that she passed away. But the date on that piece of paper that we all signed is not the same as the date that I was told that Mom had died. I don't know if you've checked that out. You know, have you gone to look at that? You should. You know. And when I look at the time that paper was drafted, lo and behold, it was drafted while I was in Malawi, which means that Kimba could have come to me and could have said, Jimmy, this is what we're doing, we're making this paper, I'm going to see these lawyers or whatever. He didn't do that. He went off to Blantyre to meet these people and prepared the piece of paper and came back to Lilongwe and said, Jimmy, there's a piece of paper you need to sign or whatever. And me, with the trust that I have towards you guys, which is the same trust that I'm using as I make this, you know, I was like, of course. I didn't even read the thing through. Why should I read it? I trust you. You're my siblings. Why should I read it through? You know? And when I looked at it, I thought, this is a flimsy piece of paper. So I was expecting that, okay, this is technicality. I'm actually awaiting the actual document later, the one in details, because this letter, all it says is that the management of the assets is going to be done by Kimba, which I don't have a problem with whatsoever. But there is no stipulation of what the assets are, and I know there are many assets in that sense. I also know that there's